Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a big one, the brand new novel from, well, a writer who really has defined a generation, hasn't she? Sally Rooney. Her latest Intermezzo just landed from Faber Faber on September 24th, 2024. And yeah, people are definitely talking.
They certainly are.
So our plan today, it's not just, a straight up book review. We've really tried to boil down a detailed summary and a review of Intermezzo.
Yeah, give you the essence.
Exactly. Give you a shortcut to understanding what it's about, why it's significant, and honestly, why it matters. We're looking at Rooney's evolution, how she's tackling huge things: grief, identity, love, loss. But maybe through a new lens, a more mature one.
I think that's spot on, that maturity. It's really central to Intermezzo. It feels like a conscious step into maybe broader contemporary literary fiction.
How so?
Well, what's really interesting, and you see this in the analysis, is how she moves beyond that intense romantic focus we saw in, normal people or conversations with friends.
Which were huge.
Huge. But here, she really digs into family complexities, specifically the bond between two brothers, and how they each individually cope after a major loss. It kind of asks you to see her not just as the voice of modern romance, but as someone looking really closely at the human condition, even when it's, well, pretty bleak.
That shift from romance to siblings, that feels significant. Like she's really pushing herself narratively.
Definitely stretching, yeah.
So if you're listening and you want that quick but still deep understanding of what makes Rooney tick and what makes this book different, maybe even a turning point, you're in the right place. We're going to unpack the themes, the characters, and yeah, even some strengths and maybe some points that might surprise you or, make you think differently about her work. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the core of Intermezzo, it centers on these two Irish brothers, Peter and Ivan Koubek. And they're dealing with the death of their father. It's recent, it's raw, and they're completely different ways of handling that grief. That's the engine of the story, isn't it?
Absolutely. That contrast is where Rooney really sinks her teeth in. She doesn't just state their grieving, she immerses you in how they grieve separately.
So tell us about Peter first, the older one.
Right. Peter Koubek. He's 29, a successful lawyer. Outwardly, he's got it all together: confidence, control.
With the picture of success.
Exactly. But underneath that surface, Rooney shows him struggling. Big time, with intimacy, with the pressure of expectation, and ultimately with controlling his own pretty chaotic emotions.
So the career is almost like a shield.
Very much so. It's like this carefully built defense. He's trying to hide this deep vulnerability, maybe even outrun it. He throws himself into his work, yeah, but also into these really turbulent, sometimes self-sabotaging relationships. Like drama on the outside helps ignore the chaos inside.
Distraction. And then the complete opposite, we have Ivan.
Yeah, Ivan, a stark contrast, like you said. He's 22, a semi-pro chess player.
Chess. Interesting.
Very. He's described as socially awkward, kind of detached. He sees the world through logic, strategy. The chessboard is his safe space, right? Yeah. Clear rules, predictable outcomes, controlled chaos.
Unlike life.
Precisely. It gives him structure, a sense of mastery, maybe. But it also isolates him from, the messy reality of human emotions and relationships. He kind of retreats into the rigid order of chess to cope with the sheer unpredictability of his grief.
Wow. So you have these two brothers, same loss, totally different coping mechanisms. And Rooney uses that, you're saying, to explore how we all try to find meaning when things fall apart.
Exactly. And the narrative shifts between them, which is really effective. You get inside both their heads.
An intimate perspective.
Very intimate, almost voyeuristic at times. You see how differently people can process the same trauma. And their relationship, Peter and Ivan's, it's strained, definitely. They're hurting in their own ways. But there's also this tenderness underneath.
Unspoken stuff.
A lot of unspoken understanding, shared history, little gestures, the silences. That's the real emotional backbone. Not big dramatic scenes, but those quiet, sometimes painful moments of connection. They really resonate.
That makes sense. And the title, Intermezzo. How does that play into it? You mentioned she avoids neat endings.
Yeah, the title is really key. It fits her style perfectly. She doesn't give you easy answers or tidy resolutions.
No bows tied up at the end.
Nope. Life isn't presented as the straight line to a conclusion. It's more like a series of interludes. Intermezzi. Moments of connection, then disconnection, love, then loss. clarity than confusion.
So the focus is on the in-between spaces.
Exactly. It's not about the final destination. It's about exploring those complex, messy, and kind of temporary periods between the big events. It's just, meaning isn't just in the climax, but in those quieter, reflective pauses along the way. It's quite philosophical, really.
That is fascinating, the meaning in the pauses. Okay, so beyond the brothers' grief, what else is Rooney exploring here? Because it sounds like it's about more than just this one family's loss.
Oh, definitely. The thematic landscape is rich and feels very now. Grief and coping, obviously central, but she also goes deep into sibling bonds, particularly between brothers.
Which, as you said, feels like a shift from her earlier work.
A really refreshing and I think mature shift.
Yeah.
The sources really pick up on that. She's exploring masculinity, intimacy, vulnerability. But through this fraternal lens, Peter's struggle to connect, to keep control when he's falling apart emotionally. It feels incredibly authentic.
And the chess aspect. You mentioned Ivan.
Right. The chess thing works on multiple levels. It powerfully mirrors this tension between order and chaos in life. Ivan clings to its structure when everything else feels random and out of control. It's a metaphor a lot of us can relate to. That search for rules in a seemingly ruleless situation. And threaded through all of this is this constant exploration of human connection. How fragile it is, how fleeting, but how much we need it, even when it's difficult. It's almost like a quiet critique of traditional ideas about masculinity, looking at male identity and emotion in a more nuanced way than just, say, romantic angst.
And stylistically.
Yeah.
Does it feel like Rooney, that sharp dialogue people talk about?
Oh, absolutely. Her signature style is definitely there. Our sources highlight the dialogue. It's sharp, yeah, but also very realistic, understated.
But full of tension.
Brimming with tension. She's a master at capturing those contradictions and how people feel. You know, longing for someone while pushing them away. That mix of vulnerability and defensiveness, it's all there. You mentioned comparing the dialogue to a chess match earlier.
Right, like every line is a move.
Exactly. It's a great comparison. It's not just what they say, it's what they don't say. The pauses, the subtext. It's all loaded.
Reading between the lines.
You have to, like a chess player looking beyond the next move. She uses sparse language, perfectly chosen words to reveal so much character, build tension without needing big emotional declarations. It's incredibly skillful how much psychological depth comes through in these often quite clipped exchanges. It mirrors how Peter and Ivan themselves are navigating their own tricky emotional board.
Okay, so bringing it all together, how does Intermezzo actually fare? Our sources gave it a pretty high score, an 8.8 out of 10. That's strong.
It is strong, and the strengths highlighted really speak to her development as a writer.
Such as?
Well, first, that emotional complexity we've been talking about, her ability to show contradictory feelings coexisting in one person wanting connection but fearing it, anger mixed with tenderness. It makes the characters feel incredibly real.
Believable.
Yeah. Then, yes, the sharp dialogue. Realistic, tense, understated. Always a strength. The focus on the siblings is also seen as a major plus mature, refreshing, broadening her scope beyond just romance.
Shows growth.
Definitely. And finally, the chess metaphor. It's not just tacked on, it's woven deeply into the narrative, offering this brilliant way to think about rules, randomness, control, chaos. It adds real depth.
Okay, but no book is perfect for everyone, right? To be balanced, were there any points raised that some readers might find challenging?
That's fair. And yes, the sources do point out a few nuances. For readers who prefer a really fast-moving plot, Intermezzo might feel slow.
Because it's introspective.
Exactly. It's very character-focused, internal. It invites you to sit with the character's thoughts and feelings rather than rushing through events. It's an artistic choice, but maybe not for everyone. Also, that lack of neat closure we talked about. Rooney sticks with ambiguity. Some readers love that, find it true to life. Others might find it frustrating, wanting more definitive answers for the characters.
They want the bow tied up.
Some do, yeah. And lastly, because the characters are grappling with grief and have their defenses up, particularly Ivan maybe, some might feel a bit emotionally distant at times. They might crave a bit more overt warmth or connection. But again, that distance is arguably part of the realistic portrayal of their coping mechanisms.
So it's definitely not just Normal People Part 2, or Another Conversations with Friends.
No.
Our sources call it more mature, introspective, even daring in scope. What does that signal about Rooney overall, do you think? For someone picking this up, maybe expecting something similar to her earlier hits.
I think it signals significant growth. It reinforces her place as a major literary voice, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also shows she's willing to tackle more challenging structures, darker themes, bigger questions.
Moving beyond romance.
Moving into broader territory, yeah. Exploring family trauma, identity after loss, more existential stuff, perhaps. It shows she's not afraid to evolve, to push herself and her readers. It's like she's saying, okay, we explored that, now let's look at this. It suggests her talent isn't just one specific formula. This book asks you to grow with her, in a way.
Right. It's an evolution, not just a repeat. Okay. There you have it. Our deep dive into Sally Rooney's Intermezzo. It sounds like a quieter novel in some ways, but profound, really cementing her place by exploring family grief with nuance. It leaves you thinking that maybe meaning isn't always in the big moments, the resolutions, but in those interludes, the spaces between things, between love and loss, order and chaos, presence and absence. That's where life happens, maybe.
That's beautifully put. And this exploration of Intermezzo, it really does highlight how differently we all navigate grief, doesn't it? And how complex family dynamics can be. Even shared loss is experienced so individually. It takes real empathy to bridge those gaps.
Yeah.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. How do you find meaning in your own life's interludes, those in-between times? And what does it really take to understand the people closest to you, especially when their way of processing life or loss is so different from your own?
A powerful thought to leave us with. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring those rich narratives on the page and in life.